You take Visa.
Do we take Visa and MasterCard and American Express?
Favorite people in this industry. What he's accomplished is unparalleled. My respect for him, both as a person and in these instruments, is on another level. So what I hope to have him accomplish tonight with you guys is to help bring even more of that to you. Our team is here, literally just help everybody have a good time. Hopefully there's time to plug these things in, get everything autographed, but here's Paul.
That's really messed up. Let's have a disagreement and an argument with the internet. How does that sound for everybody? All right, so who doesn't play guitar here? You don't play guitar? You don't play guitar? You don't play guitar. Are you aware that there's a whole pile of people on the internet that think they know how to make guitars way better than us? I got it. Can you believe that might be true? What?
How dare they?
That's kind of what I think. How dare they? That's kind of what I think. So I figured we would open the floor up to all the ideas that the internet blogs or the people in their underwear in the basement are telling us. And as my friend says, Paul, they're not wearing any underwear. So, does anybody want to take a risk and go for the grand white cookie elephant in the room? Oh shit. What he said was Tonewood. So let me explain to you and to you and to you what this argument is. You ready? They think for an instrument maker, the woods that you make it out of make absolutely no difference. What was that sound? Okay, well, it's true. That's what you're bringing it up. Okay. Which means if I make the guitar out of balsa wood, and I put a rubber nut on it and a rubber bridge, and the strings are dead, and they're covered in Vaseline, the only thing that makes any difference is the pickup and your new pedal. Is that correct? Great. I quit. It's such one-dimensional poor thinking, in my opinion. And I want to get it out on the floor before we could go on for an hour and then we would hit it. But you had the courage to bring it up first. Now, let's ask a question. If you were getting a violin made by one of the best makers in Cremona for a violin, would you take his ability away to find the best tone woods for that instrument? No, you wouldn't do it. Would you put Strat saddles on a 1935 D28? Why wouldn't you put Strat saddles on a D28?
Sacrilegious.
Get over it. You said sacrilegious. The reason you wouldn't put Strat saddles on your D28 is because it would sound worse, right? But you'll put it on your favorite Strat? We all know that a bone saddle on an acoustic guitar sounds better than if you put a metal saddle on, right? Viscerally, we just know that. But tone woods don't make any difference. All right. It's fundamentally, it just doesn't sound right to me. Let me explain. If the strings on a set of strings, you have 6 high strings There's 6 strings. 3 are unwound and 3 are wound. And we all know that an old set of wound strings goes dead. But that doesn't, in their minds, that makes no difference in the sound of the guitar, because a dead string would make no difference if the only thing was important was the pickup and the pedal, right? That just doesn't make any sense to me. And this goes on and on and on and on about how it doesn't make any difference. Now, it is true that the reason Leo Fender used alder wood on some of these old Strats and these old Tellys is because it was 30 cents a board foot and it was the cheapest wood he could buy. That is true. It is also true that swamp ash, the pieces that grow under the water, weigh half as much as the pieces that grow out of the water. So you'll get a board, half of it grew out of the water, it weighs like a brick, and the half that was underneath the water drained out of it is very lightweight. And so you would literally cut the tree in half and throw half of it away and make the other one into a good guitar. And that was not a really good idea for him. That I can agree with. But I just have no real fundamental understanding that you take all the gems that Tonewoods can bring to guitar making and throw it away because it means nothing, it doesn't make any difference. It just doesn't make any sense to me. This is my guitar. You don't play guitar, right? I'm going to pluck the string and I want you to just touch the end of the guitar and tell everybody what you experience, okay? Now, I'm not going to hurt you. Don't worry about it.
Vibrating.
How much?
Good amount.
Good amount. Now, if this wood was full of water, you think it would do as much?
No.
Really? She's thinking. If I'm doing a clinic with 3 or 4 acoustic guitars, the person who never played guitar is a much better judge of how it sounds than everybody who plays guitar. Because everybody who plays guitars thinking from their calcified, god-awful, rose-colored glasses, and the person who never played is actually listening. What I'm begging is that people actually listen to what they're hearing instead of having a view already ahead of time. How many people have played all these Silver Skies on the bottom to find out what the best one is? My assumption is 0 of the people in the room. But in the early days, you'd play everyone to find the right one, right? So to me, that's more important. Today, we did it. Oh, yeah, you know what I got in my hand. We did a shootout with the number 5 Klon. We did a shootout with Stevie Ray Vaughan's original. What was that pedal? Huh? Yeah, right. The real one, right? From his rig, right? And the same pedal David Gilmour used for all his shit. And I'm sorry, this won. And I bought it. And it was sitting in the case and nobody else tried it. Have you heard this thing yet?
It's amazing.
It's stupid good, right? It's mine. You can't have it. Well, we all know everyone sounds exactly the same. There's no difference whatsoever. What's hurting me for the 3 of the people that don't play is that people are starting to believe some of the absolute bullshit they are being fed on the internet, and they quit listening to their own experience. Your own experience is so powerful. If you pick up a neck, pick up 5 guitars, you'll know which one has the best carved neck, whether you play guitar or not. Wrap your hand around this neck and tell me either it's comfortable or it's not. That's good. You're not a calcified person.
And no French fry.
And no what?
No French fry.
said no fetch valve. So here in the Midwest, because of all the humidity, so it'll shrink the neck and then the fetch.
No, it's exact opposite of that. What you're talking about is the neck shrinks and the frets don't, and they stick out the side of the neck. That's because the guitar maker forgot to stick the wood in the oven to dry it out before he made the guitar out of it. And the first winter, the humidity went way down, and the wood shrank and the frets didn't. And you have a problem with that, and even you know that. And you don't play guitar? Very good, dear. Very good. All right. Do you play guitar in the back? What do you think of this?
I think he's having a good time.
You think your gear slut is having a good time. So I'll be on eBay looking for old gear, and my wife says, "Are you slutting?" So basically, this is the deal. Some of these old instruments have a promise that they're magical. And for the most part, it's not true. Most old amps are broken, most old microphones are broken, most old guitars are broken, but once in a while, it is not broken. And they were made by people that absolutely knew what they were doing, and they're magical pieces of gear. They handed me a guitar in here today that I thought was an imitation reissue. And I went, boy, this is a really good guitar, which confused me. Turns out it was an original 64 Stratus, the red one up on the wall over there. I thought it was a reissue, it wasn't. And it's felt like a real one to me, because guess what it was, right? So you support his habit, is that how this works? Good for you. You look proud of that. I used to have women come into my shop and they were so mad at me. How dare you, Paul? I said, what's wrong? They go, he loves the guitar more than me. And I thought to myself, I guess I did my job. I don't know. What the hell? So, I am getting of the place where it's a little frightening, not in terms of being scared, but this is it. One time, you've ever heard a guy named Nate Westgore at Willie's American Guitars? You ever hear this guy? Does anybody hear of Willie's American Guitars? Don't even know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about? St. Paul, yeah. He goes, I used to be an expert. I used to talk to somebody for half an hour about the history of their guitar and how much, all the things about it and all the things I knew. And now what they say to me at the end of my half an hour spiel is, that's nice, I'll research it on the internet tonight. Which means I'm no longer an expert. By definition, an expert is somebody in a very complicated area that solves very complicated problems over and over and over and over again. And he was no longer an expert. And I feel like my expertise is being yanked away from me because we'll just listen to the people that don't know what they're talking about on the internet. Now, one of the people in my family got very, very sick with cancer. And Hopkins said, whatever you do, don't read about it on the internet because they're 8 to 10 months behind and they get their facts wrong. And it was life-saving advice because we found somebody that knew what they were doing and saved my wife's life. And for me, this is a destination store full of experts. This is a destination store where you can trust what somebody's telling you. Now, some people have their minds made up, that's all well and good, but we have been talking all day long with all the salespeople in here about how to gently let people know what their expertise is. And experientially, that's the way to do it. If you go and buy a guitar the way people buy shoes, bring me 7 pairs and get away from me, I'll tell you which one I like. That is the best way to buy a guitar, in my mind. Same thing with pedals. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Go try all the chorus pedals if you're looking for a pedal. That's their job, to bring them into the room and let you try them all. I don't care if you're a pain in the ass, but you find one you love, buy it. How many people in this room have had a guitar they loved and they sold? How many people in this room saw a guitar they loved and didn't have the courage to buy it? It's just as bad either way. It's just awful. The best Martin guitar I ever heard in my life, I found at the Dallas Guitar Show, was an employee guitar. And I went, this is the best Martin I've ever heard. And I went to Mark Pollock and I said I should buy it. He says, no, the employee guitars aren't worth any money. You don't want to get it, da-da-da-da. And I got talked out of it. I regretted the day ever since. Because it was a D28 that sounded as good as I'd ever heard. I think it had an incredibly thin top. It was ringing like a bell, and I made a mistake. Whatever you do, if you find something magic, just do it. Get over with. Get it over with. Be her mate. Are you going to help him buy another guitar? You are. God, why are all the... Wait, that's really good. What about him? Is this your... Yeah, are you going to help him ruin his life? Do you love guitars?
Yeah.
Is she supportive?
I would say so. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
What about him?
He does a good job running his own life.
He doesn't. Oh, should I repeat that for everybody? Nah, we'll leave that one alone. All right. So I'm just going to leave the internet stuff at please trust your experience. Use it as a place of advice and a place of looking after things in terms of your beginning of your knowledge, but this is a place where you can listen to each of the pieces on your own and get an idea. That red guitar is a 64 Strat. It's a real one. If you're looking to buy a guitar, try that one first and then try all the other ones. What are you laughing about? Look, if I knock your teeth out right now, you'll find the money to fix your teeth and sue me. Therefore, you can afford that. It's always about desire and willingness, for me, anyway. I was taught not to use money as an excuse. It's one of the hardest lessons I've ever learned in my entire life. And it makes me swallow hard sometimes, but you know, I have a rule that I don't have gear that I don't use. I'm not a collector. I only have stuff that does a job for me. And if I find something, I try not to walk away because I always regret it. So, all right. We're going to do something very interesting. Is Nathaniel here? Okay. Alex, come here. Come on. We're going to do something we've never, ever, ever done at the clinic, ever. This is Alex. Say hi, Alex. Hi. Nathaniel, say hi, Nathaniel. All right. We are going to have a guitar song contest. Okay. Oh, you're laughing. You are on the spot, baby. Yes. Yeah, you're on the spot. So I'm going to start, and then each one of us tries to up the ante a little bit. Is that fair? Don't announce losing right. You know how to play. It's close to Dover. We might lose. What? What? You're going to start with that and then we just give up?
I'll walk away.
Somebody change the settings.
Oh, no, leave it.
No. Sit down. Internet. said top? My turn.
The American fans?
No! Just do the Eric Johnson thing again. What do you want? Yes! Come on! Get your ass on the chair!
You know I'm not going to beat that.
I can try. Yeah, you can do it. I can try. You can do it. By the way, this is fun, right?
Let me see. I can't remember.
You did it to serve you.
I know.
I can't remember.
Let me see. I'll play someone else.
I play something else. That's heaven on earth. The reason we're doing the ZZ Top stuff is because it was such a legend in our business. The reason that we're doing all these tunes, the Beatles, all this stuff, because it changed our lives. And I wanted you to hear the beginnings of that just on one guitar, because it really is in the hands in the end, right? And it's an honor to be around guitar players at this level, from this environment, Chicago Music Exchange, and I wanted you to hear it. So I want you to give a big hand for Nathaniel. So somebody explained to me how he pulled that Beatles tune off with that much gain on the amp. Somebody explain that to me. Did you hear that? How much gain was on the amp when he played the Beatles tune?
Oh, yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, you did really well. I've just turned it down a little.
Yeah, but Tommy Emmanuel would have been proud of you.
Oh, so.
Have you ever heard him play Day Tripper all three parts at the same time?
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm joking.
What?
It's incredibly good.
He has an Australian accent, not an English one. All right. So let's take a risk. A lot of people have a lot of questions about our industry. A lot of people have a lot of questions about guitar making. They have a lot of questions about how to get the kinds of things that we've been talking about tonight. And if you ask a question, it will be instructive for everybody in the room. And normally what happens is nobody will ask a question. It's painful. And then by the third person to ask questions, there's so many hands up you can't even see straight. So who's going to have the courage? You.
Of course.
Okay, why you?
Because the last few times you've been here, I have always asked for...
Well, then you should not be allowed to ask anything.
We're talking about woods regarding like body woods, top woods.
We just did that.
No, I'm curious about fretboard woods.
What about fretboard
How
wood?
big of a difference is there between like maple, ebony, rosewood, things like that in terms of sound?
It's a reasonable question.
Don't hit me.
What now? What now? What did you
I
say?
said, don't hit me.
I'm not going to hit you. If you have a
Then you're
brick.
about to scratch.
Well, that's a Brazilian rosewood fingerboard. Hang on a minute. I'm going to answer your question. It's a reasonable question. They call it a fingerboard because that's where your fingers would be. And typically they didn't use rosewoods or ebonies or any of that for the sound of the instrument. They used it to keep your sweat from ruining the guitar. Because the rosewood was full of oil, or the ebony was impenetrable, or whatever it was. When Leo Fender came along and put a maple fretboard on it, he knew it couldn't handle it, so he coated it with nitrocellulose lacquer as a coating, and then everybody's fingernails took it off, and you have these big digs in the fretboard, right? That's how it works. The guitar that we were just playing has a zero coating fretboard, which is highly unusual for guitars and has no history. But I thought it sounded just fine. What I'm interested in is not which wood it is. I'm interested in how long it rings. The problem with the fretboard is you just took this ringy piece of wood and you cut 24 slots in it and turned it into one of those alligators kids get to go around their floor in their bedroom. You know what I'm talking about? Because it makes it flexible. And then you put all these pieces of metal in it and fill it with glue and inlay. It doesn't have much of a sound left. But I do notice subtle differences from a big batch of guitars with Nicaraguan rosewood or Honduran rosewood and say ebony. Okay? African blackwood is what they used to make oboes out of. It's black rosewood. It looks just like ebony. It's wonderful stuff to make guitars out of, but very hard to get and probably not ecologically sound thing to be buying these days. So the answer is a little bit. If you play the string open, the open D note, it did not sound different than when I was playing an open note, different from the fretted note very much. So the open note doesn't incorporate the fingerboard at all. That's a bone nut and an aluminum bridge with brass studs in it, and the string is vibrating out of the brass into the bone through the tuning pegs, and when I'm playing an open string, it's not even touching the fretboard.
Okay, I'm a little confused by that.
Why?
I remember you saying last time you were here that when you play a note, every
You're going to fry me on something I said last time?
I'm just curious.
Does anybody have an alcoholic beverage?
We're talking about
I'm just explaining something I figured out since the last time I was here, which is the open string doesn't touch the fretboard, and that is my proof. But oh my God, the Pythagorean theorem is now extinct. Look, you were right. I did say that, but now I've learned a lot more, and I'm telling you, this guitar sounds gorgeous. It has the wood that the neck is made out of is what they make fence posts out of in Guatemala. It's called Chaltecoco. It's related to Pernambuco, which they make violin bows out of. And the fretboard's made out of Zirconi, which we're finding out is a gorgeous sounding wood, which has no history whatsoever. But every time we make a guitar out of it, it does what you heard come out of their hands. So I'm telling you, it does make a difference, but not to the level that you would think. Now, the problem with ebony is when you fret it, very often when you take the frets out to refret it, the wood chips. And so it's very difficult to deal with that way. That said, there's a maple fretboard guitar over here that sounds absolutely gorgeous, and it's a pretty soft wood. And ebony is a pretty hard wood. So I think my answer is correct from my point of view, which is it makes a little difference. Not anywhere near as much as the material the nut's made out of, the material the bridge is made out of, how the bridge is attached to the guitar, how much finish is on the guitar, and what the body wood and the neck wood is made out of. Because a weak neck wood means a weak sound, because you're suspending all these tuning pegs, this weight way out here, on a weighted neck. In other words, the frets, there's less of them down here than up here. It's completely A-weighted, and it's the definition of getting something to quit vibrating.
Nickel versus stainless steel frets, your thoughts?
Okay, so the question is nickel versus stainless steel frets. I don't have enough experience with stainless steel frets to be able to give you a good answer, except we put them on the Joe Walsh guitars, and he really liked it because of how easy it was to vibrato the string. They're very hard. They're hard to get to seat well. They're hard to level. There's a lot of things that are very difficult about them, but I like stainless steel. We have not converted over yet. We're using it on a few models. You can't wait. Why don't you just order your private stock and be done with it? At least when it's finished. Good.
But I'm on the 24th fret, Paul's.
Is your guitar for sale? Just wondering.
You know something, dear? I really like you. So let me explain. I used to go on the road, and my guitar always sold at the clinic I did. And about 4 years ago, it ended. And you have just started it back. Now, hang on a minute. But he wants one with 2 more frets, and I ain't adding 2 frets to my guitar. That's what he asked for. If it only had 2 more frets and I could play just a little bit higher without stretching, it would be good. I'm making fun of him, you know that, right? Okay. Well, you know what the English say? It's the high notes that gets them, right? Yeah. Did you know that? It's a saying amongst the English guitar players. It's the high notes that gets them. If you think about the way Derek Trucks plays, he's planning for the high note for 4 minutes. And he's working his way up because he's headed for the money note, and he knows exactly what he's doing. He spends 5 minutes before he's up top wiggling that last E note on the high E string, and that takes everybody's breath away and they start screaming. He's been planning that money note the whole time. Whereas Jimmy Herring isn't doing that. But that high note is the high notes that gets him. That Derek Truck lives by that. But he takes forever to take you there. Has anybody ever seen him do this? Oh, he's so good. The genius. When he reaches in his hand for his slide, I get chills. I know it's coming. Here we go. By the way, there's a couple people over here who can play slide without a slide. You did it today. I hate guitar players that are that good and won't admit it. All right. So I answered your question. Did somebody... Right? Wait a minute. She fed you another question?
Not at all. So one of very few bright spots as far as I'm concerned during the pandemic was your interview with other players. I absolutely love those, especially you interviewed my hero, Alex, and everything. So I was wondering, are there any more plans to do more of those, or maybe a podcast version? Because the rapport that you had with those players was just, I just loved how it felt like.
All right, so what he's talking about is we did all these interviews with all these people, and I got chances to ask them questions, they got chances to ask me questions. And it was a way of entertaining everybody during the pandemic when it was all locked down. And you like that. Great. No, we don't have any more plans for that. I thought what my artist relations department did was brilliant. And to have John Mayer and some of these people ask me questions was mind-boggling. What did John Mayer? He said, what rig would you want to play through in history? I said, I would have wanted to play through Hendrix's rig when he played the Star Spangled Banner to see what it felt like. What are you pointing at?
HDR.
Yeah, well, look, you got a credit card, you can go home with Hendrix's amp. It's easy, that's not a problem. You have one. Do you have a 100 watt or 50 watt or 20 watt?
I have the 20 watt now, but hopefully it's
Okay, well, I got a chance to play through 16 12s in the 100 watt all the way up, and me and Mark Lettieri had scared the shit out of both of us. That was their PA. There was no mic on it. That was the PA. They were doing it like the Grateful Dead when everybody in the band had a separate PA. That's what they were doing. That's why the drummer was beating the shit out of his drums, because he didn't have any microphones on his drums. They didn't want the drums to come through where the vocals were. That was sacrilege. Yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. Today I'm talking to you. And you want me to talk to somebody else. Okay, you and I done? Yeah.
So part of the...
Wait a minute. You didn't ask a question. You offered a suggestion. You were the Tonewood. You didn't ask a question. You just yelled the word Tonewood to piss me off. All right, go on.
So I'm part of the Facebook group, PRS Guitar Owners Worldwide, and one of the things we like to do is people put up pictures like, hey, is this a real PRS or not? And everybody's like, fake, fake. So my question to you is, has anyone ever brought you a fake to sign, and what did you do? Unless they're out there.
Not that I haven't been able to tell. I mean, there hasn't been one that I didn't know was fake or not. Somebody brought me once that was signed by me and I hadn't signed it, and I didn't like that very much. And I didn't have the heart to tell the person that's not my signature. And I didn't really know what to do about it. That's true. But there are so many giveaways about whether we made it or not. All you have to do is look at the transition, the way the headstock was sanded, or look at the transition, how the heel was sanded, or, I mean, thousands of other things that nobody gets right. And quite frankly, it's almost like all these Dumble clones. I have a real Dumble. They just don't get it right. It doesn't sound the same. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't smell like a bad basement. But they're giving it everything they got. And I'm sure if somebody brought me one that was pretty close, and I was, that's pretty good, I would say something about it. But so far, I haven't been tricked. Yeah, anybody here, have you been tricked? You ever seen a fake one? You all right? Huh?
Seen it, never fake.
There's one on the wall of the president of my company's office. I hate it every time I look at it. So trademarks are very powerful, and the trademark people at the borders stop these fakes all the time for us, which is great. I'm not having a problem with it. Do you have a fake one?
No.
What about the ones that aren't the fakes that people say are the fakes? What about those? That happens, you know.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you get for $500.
She's going to buy you a guitar. You need to be quiet. Huh?
She brought me here to get it.
My guitar.
Yeah.
Either that one or any, whatever.
Jerry, I'm going to plug a guitar for you that's going to drop your jaw. That sounds good. Hang on a minute. Now you heard my guitar, right? This thing's got even more upper mid-range harmonics, okay? I'm sorry, this makes my heart warm. And this is yours if you want it. Wait a minute, what did you say? Do we take Visa and MasterCard and American Express? This is as good a guitar as we've ever made. That's why I'm showing it to you. The reason I had him get it down off the wall is somebody here fell in love with it today. And she wants your guitar. No, she won't. No. Are you going to let it go?
He's still on the phone tour.
We'll see about that.
Okay. I will take your money, dear. The truth is, the firemen in my town came to me and said after the animals and the people are out of the house, they're starting to scream more for the guitars than they are screaming for the photographs. And I don't think that was pre-cloud days, right? But it's a big deal, and it's an heirloom, and that's an extraordinary sounding guitar, as you know. Yeah. Sorry, you heard what I just did with it again, right? It just keeps doing the same thing over and over again.